Mr. Speaker, the police headcount in March of this year hit 149,769. That is a record ever number of police. It's 3,000 higher than the previous record. So my first question is this: will the Police Minister commit to at least maintaining, if not growing, that record police officer number? Secondly, will the Police Minister join me in welcoming the fact that overall crime in the last 7 years, as measured by the Crime Survey of England and Wales, the ONS say that's the best measure for crime trends, has come, including fraud, has come down by 17%. Now, the written statement yesterday, and indeed the Home Secretary's speech to the MPCC yesterday, talked about the importance of technology, something I feel very strongly about, as she knows. Now, in the March budget, the previous Chancellor committed to £230 million of spending on police technology over 4 years, of which this year is the first. About £80 million was due to be spent this year. So will the Honourable Lady confirm that the £80 million for this year is secure, and that she and her colleagues will honour the £230 million commitment over the coming 4 years? Does she also agree that it's important that police spend their time actually investigating crime, not policing thought? So does she agree with me that the guidelines need to be changed so that police only spend time investigating real crimes and only investigate non-crimes where there is a real and imminent risk of criminality? That would be a change of guidelines. Will she make those changes? Finally, regarding this reform programme, we need to see the details, of course, but will she confirm that no money will be taken away from local police forces? Will she confirm that police and crime commissioners and chief constables will continue to be fully empowered? And finally, on the question of police funding, she mentioned some numbers for next year's funding settlement. Now, she will be aware that this current financial year, when I was Police Minister, we arranged a £922 million increase in the funding for frontline policing this year compared to last. The numbers she's talking about in the statement are much lower than that. So will she take this opportunity to commit that any funding increase for frontline policing that she brings forward in the police funding settlement will be at least as big as the one that I announced last year?
Well, I think this is the first opportunity I've had to welcome the Right Honourable Gentleman to his new role as the Shadow Home Secretary. But I do think he might be forgetting a few facts, because if I recall, during the course of the previous 14 years, the Conservative government slashed policing by over 20,000 police officers and many support staff as well. So whilst I acknowledge the Uplift programme was brought in at the end of their period in government, they did get rid of a lot of very experienced and good police officers. And also, just to remind him, we stood on a manifesto commitment of 13,000 additional police officers, PCSOs and specials as part of our neighbourhood policing guarantee. I know the Right Honourable Gentleman is very keen on technology. I think that was one of the things he absolutely focused on, and I've certainly taken up some of the issues that he was concerned about around live facial recognition, and I want to see that investment continue. Can I also just say to him, I think again he's forgetting a few things, because he refers to the non-crime hate incidents and the guidelines. Now, if I recall, he was actually the minister that introduced those guidelines when he was the policing minister. So I listen to what he says, but I do think he just needs to remember what he actually did when he was the policing minister. And I take the approach that this should be an issue that is around common sense and consistency, and that's what the HMIC FRS have said about the need for consistency and for training. So I'm going to listen to what they have to say rather than perhaps his view on what he actually introduced. The other issues he raised, we're going to have a white paper. So many of the questions he's asking will be part of that consultative approach that we will adopt when that white paper is laid before Parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.